and welcome to Joseph's Model Railway and Toy Room. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, you don't need to like, follow, or subscribe. Just put the videos out there where I can, and we have a whole jolly bunch of fun doing so. So, scales. Let's get sensible. We're not talking about fish, but something is a bit fishy. I'm pretty much just wanting to talk briefly in this video about HO and 00 scale. Are they the same or are they not the same? Well, of course, they are not the same. We have HO over here, which is a 1 to 87 scale, and then we have 00, which is a 1 to 76 scale. Why do I need to tell you about this in the video? Pretty much because if you're really keen on making an excellent model railway or any other type of diorama, stick to your exact scale. Mine is not going to be perfect, it's just what makes me happy. But the reason why I say it is I have a lot of overlap between 00 and HO, and I just want to cut the nonsense now, because while it will work for me, I always think it's the definition between a good model and a bad model. For example, when you have your Hot Wheels and Matchbox cars, and as you grow up and then get a train set, you might put one on the layout and say, oh yeah, there's a car. But it all starts looking wrong, especially when you start building and landscaping your layout. Let's have a look. Okay, and here is a road rug. Now if we come in, we've got our different roads, and for any kids' toys that we would put down, it would be quite good. But if we come down closer, here we have an old dingy Matchbox Land Rover Discovery, covered in paint and goodness knows what. I've been using it during the build of the railway and getting wheel tracks and whatever I need. Now putting it on this generic type of mat, that doesn't look too bad, you know? We could have a car that's bigger, we could have it smaller. All in all, that looks quite in place in this situation. But let us head back to the model railway and see why we've got problems. And here we are at the cattle crossing. And the situation is that four-wheel drive doesn't quite look like it's going to get through the gates in a comfortable type of manner, as opposed to our 00 scale Land Rover Defender sitting over there. Now, why I'm using this particular scene is for a few reasons. Let's take our wonderful cows that we have here. Bachmann, 00 scale figure cows. 00, makes sense. We're also using the Woodland Scenics fencing. And if we can just pay attention to that for a moment, you will notice that it is indeed HO scale. And straight away you can see where I've got a bit of an anomaly, where as we look at our cows by the fence line, something doesn't quite look right. Let's move Mr. Cow over here. Moo. And that fence could stand to be a fraction bit higher. Again, for my purposes, we're not going to lose any sleep over this whatsoever. And all I'm trying to point out in this video, as you can see, I'm using some things that are HO. Got product here from Knock, of course, which is indeed HO. Scaledale from Hornby, which of course is 00. And most of the time I'm working on 00. But sometimes that's not quite going to fit within the confines of the layout. So we need to use some HO equivalents. But the reason why we're doing this video as we come along has got to be some frustrations. Well, that all looks good. And here's our friends at PECO, complicating our life even further. Because wouldn't you know it, 00 and HO. That shouldn't be the case. Let's just establish what size we are using, and please do stick with it. I want to give you an example. As you know, we've got our platform down and have been working on a roadway. I want a bus sitting here, so I went hunting for buses. I'm still not sure what we're going to use, but let's appreciate we have sitting here a 00 scale bus, and here is our HO scale. So you can see it's slightly smaller. Of course, we still get advertised we use the same track, which is where things come apart, because in 00 our sleeper spacings aren't quite right. And while there's fixes for that and products available, I just am shooting this video to share with you the frustrations that do exist. And if you're wondering how come it's just never looking as good as some of the exhibition layouts, you do need to stick with the scale that you're using. A quick demonstration of that has got to be over here in the corner. I'm actually working on an oil refinery or petroleum depot that you'll be seeing in an upcoming video once I wait on a few more lights to come through. In the meantime though, it's going to sit here. Now I really wanted to have this particular scene created. However, I kicked it off. Somewhere in the distance you'll see some other tankers that are in a 00 scale that I needed. However, it will not fit and look reasonable. So we're gonna actually use HO, which means they look a little bit out of whack, but for me, I'm quite happy with that. We'll keep the balance where we can. It's better to have something than nothing, rather than just more plain agricultural landscaping. However, I'm gonna work within the confines of what I have. And when you take a picture at a particular angle and frame a scene in, then you're going to make it work. For the moment though, these are just the challenges we accept. So all I'm basically saying to you, and/or I'm imploring to you, please do try and stick to the scale size that you're working on. It will make for an ultra realistic layout and you will be most happy. Of course, one of the key things for me is some of what I'm chasing isn't available, or no one has machined and tooled up an idea in that particular scale. And for other reasons, as mentioned, I just don't have the real estate available to get everything on the scale I like. Of course, the advantage is we could go down a scale to TT or possibly down to N scale, Z scale. But again, you're changing the availability of what you might be looking for, and you can create your own challenges. I'm not completely distraught about HO and 00. Most of my rolling stock and locomotives you're going to see will be 00. However, there are a few, especially from Precision here in Australia, with some key Australian made locomotives with deliveries on them that I'm used to seeing. And I wouldn't mind just putting the GAN or Indian Pacific or the XPT 125 onto my layout and just see it going around. And I can always stop it or take pictures and frame it into a scene where there's HO scenery there, and everything will look right in the world, so to speak. So I think it's not the end of the world if you're going to go down an avenue like me. You're going to find the best of both worlds. However, if you are trying to get something that is truly magazine quality that we're going to flip over to in Railway Modeler or what have you, then you really do have to work hard at keeping the scale right. That now concludes this video. I hope it's been a little bit useful for you. For the most part, HO and 00, it's definitely not the same thing, and in many ways, as you can see on so many products that have it written on the packaging, we just accept it and move on. Stay safe. We'll see you in the next one. Toodles.